Hello silver friends, this is Joli from QuickSilverHair, and today we're going to get into part 4 on my series on yellowing. This was a question that many of you sent me via comments and emails after my first 3 videos, and that was, how do you tell what kind of yellowing you have? So I'm going to share with you today what clues I look for that indicate what kind of yellowing it could possibly be. I want to reiterate that not everyone experiences yellowing, but this video is a guide for those of you who are experiencing it and you are trying to figure out whether you can remove it or if you need to start taking steps to prevent your new growth from yellowing in the future. So let's get into it. First, I look for what water your hair is exposed to. In this, I'm looking for the possibility of mineral buildup. So if you have old pipes in your house, if you're on well water, if you have hard water, if you're a swimmer, these are all things that can indicate to me that the discoloration on your hair could be mineral buildup. Beyond that, the color that I would look for is, in the case of chlorine, it can turn your hair green, just like those that were dyeing their hair blonde before they ditched the dye. They were told, stay out of the pool for the first little bit after you dye your hair to keep it from turning green. One caveat to green and chlorine is that it can be blue shampoo. If you're using a violet shampoo or a blue shampoo and it has blue dye in it, this could be causing your hair to turn green because blue plus yellow equals green. Now, some people with silver hair actually find blue shampoo to work better for them. I actually have played with filters on Photoshop to kind of see what actually does cut the yellowing in certain hair types. And sometimes the blue filter works way better than the purple filter. So just keep that in mind. If you are experiencing this green tone and you are using a tinted shampoo, look at it to see if it's got the blue dye in it. If it does, eliminate that. If you're swimming and you still have green, then it's probably chlorine. The other color that I look for that can be mineral buildup is a reddish orangish tint to the hair. This can be very gradual because it can be from iron, from hard water, from wells, or from old pipes. This is usually kind of subtle. It's like a slow buildup, and it can turn white hair a funky little rusty color. It's not intense usually, unless it's been built up for many, many years and something that you're just now realizing you want to deal with. The next color I look at with mineral buildup is just kind of an overall dinginess, especially if you have long hair and it starts creating a new demarcation line. This hair below this line is old. It's old hair, and it's more susceptible to all damage, and it's more susceptible to all yellowing. Minerals, it just looks like it's off. It just looks a little bit off in color. I experienced this in 2020. I ended up with some mineral buildup. I didn't realize it was mineral buildup, and even the clay was not working because it does not have a chelating agent in it. I did find a chelating shampoo, and that did resolve the issue for me. It did take diligence, and it took several tries. There is no one and done here. You can't just try something once and go, that didn't work, because sometimes it takes a little while to break it all up and carry it away. The second thing I look at is heat, and I always ask in my consultations if you're using heat tools, if you're using heat protectant. Heat damage can look like anything from a pale yellow to a burned brown color. You can actually singe the hair brown, so be careful with that. In the description box below, I have links to everything I'm discussing, including some photos given to me by clients, and they graciously allowed me to publish those in the blog. I did not include them in this video because I didn't want to expose them to YouTube if they didn't want to be on YouTube. Anyway, check out those posts because there's photos in there. One is of a friend who actually had her hair burned by a flat iron, and it shows the distinct burn look. It's a very singed brown problem. The other thing I see with heat is that many people have a stubborn spot in their hair, and the yellowing will be on that spot because they will continually, try to straighten that spot with the flat iron, or they're hitting it extra hard with the hair dryer. or that's a section of hair that's already dry and it's getting overexposed to heat. So that can be an indicator of heat damage. Heat damage is permanent unless you have product buildup and the product has burned. You can sometimes remove that product buildup, and that will be kind of an overall discoloration, whereas sometimes heat damage, like I just mentioned, can be just in sections. I have seen people come to me thinking that they had burned their hair completely. We did a few deep clarifying treatments and they were able to remove it because it was the product that burned and not their hair. So don't be discouraged by heat damage until you eliminate that possibility. The next type of yellowing would be from sun damage, and that is usually on the outer top layer around here because that is our most exposed hair to the sun. The outer layer takes the brunt of that UV damage, so often the hair underneath will be its normal natural color. Like you can lift up the crown hair and everything underneath looks normal, lay the crown hair back down and it's got a yellow tinge to it. That yellow tinge can vary depending on what pigments are still left in your hair. It can look anything from beige to a really funky yellow, distinctly yellow color. Again, I have photos in the post below of sun damage, so check that out. It's in the sun post. So just a side note on heat and UV protection. If you feel like you're getting heat damage and you have been using a heat protectant, or you are going out in the sun and you have been using sun protection and you're still getting sun damage, look at that product and make sure that it actually has a rating for heat. It should be rated up to 450 degrees. This means that the company has actually tested that product to see how high the temperature can go before it loses its efficacy. And a UV filter, there are several natural ingredients that fall into UV filters, but 𝐜𝐨 is one of the most effective UV filters for hair care. And you want to see if it has that, or get on their website and really dig deep into what they're claiming the protective product or protective ingredients are. You want to look into that. There are nefarious companies out there that just put claims on bottles, and they don't necessarily mean they actually have those ingredients that are really effective in them. So just take a look at that, because it could be that even though you are using heat and UV protection, the product just isn't effective enough for silver hair. The fourth thing I look at is oxidative stress. So the longer your hair is, the more it's been exposed to everything, all of the environment. I usually see a demarcation line, so it will look like a different color from about mid-length down. It's usually a dingy or beigey color. It can look like a champagne color. My hair tends to actually be kind of a champagne silver. It's not really a white silver. So I ended up with some oxidative stress and some mineral buildup, and it was really hard for me to even tell, was that going on or was it my natural color? So that's kind of hard to tell. It is pretty unavoidable once you start growing your hair out that the older ends are going to be exactly the same color as your roots, just because, you know, think about it. I've said this before, on this length of hair, these ends are 5 years old and your hair is dead. It doesn't have any life force in it, so it cannot rejuvenate, cell regeneration or anything like that. It is, you know, going to be exposed to the environment, and just like a plastic sitting out in the sun, it's going to discolor over time. Oxidative stress can be caused by the length of the hair, the porosity of your hair, which increases as it gets longer. It can be caused by exposure to UV rays. UV rays are the most damaging thing to hair there is, to all hair colors. It doesn't matter, because it's the one thing we are most exposed to. And even UV damage where it doesn't cause yellowing can cause deterioration of the hair, which is the oxidative stress, and it can cause your hair to pick up things like minerals and so forth. So oxidative stress is a little bit more difficult to deal with when it comes to removing, because there are so many variables here. It could be so many different things, and it can be, you know, accumulative. Again, it can be several things on top of each other. It may be that it's time for a haircut. I hate to say that. I had to do it. I had to cut 6 inches off of my hair because the oxidative stress on the ends was so bad. And my hair felt and looked so much better that it was actually a relief to cut that off. So just keep that in mind. Again, this doesn't happen to everyone because it depends on your hair type. I have very fine hair. It makes it more susceptible to damage. If you have thicker, coarser hair, you may not experience as much oxidative stress because your hair is a little stronger. So the final thing is product buildup. Product buildup will cause discoloration throughout your hair. I mean, it'll be all over because we generally put products all over. And I would look for in the products if there's any dyes or anything like that that could be contributing to it, or staining oils that could be contributing to that discoloration. Like I said, usually it is all over, and if you have the heat damage on product buildup, that will be a little bit more intense color discoloration. You should be able to, with a good deep clarifying system like the QuickSilverHair mask and a chelating shampoo, you should be able to eliminate product buildup, and then you'll know that it was product buildup. And you should be able to remove the minerals over time, and you'll also be able to tell that it was minerals. It's kind of a 1-2 punch. You want to try both things because you might as well, because they can help you eliminate both issues at the same time, which, you know, a lot of times it isn't just one thing. For me, I tend to get mineral buildup, and I do get product buildup because I have curly hair and I use a lot of products to keep my hair looking its best and its healthiest. So, you know, having that clarifying system in my routine keeps that at bay. I did end up with oxidative stress. I did end up with mineral buildup. I'm not immune to these issues, even though this is, you know, basis of my company. So, you know, don't get discouraged. I've managed to keep my hair looking really nice for 7 years. So it's not an all or nothing thing. It doesn't mean that just because something does happen to your hair that you won't be able to fix it or rectify it. You know, and if you have to grow it off, it's not the end of the world, but, you know, you can take preventative measures to stop it from happening again while you grow out the new silvers that are healthy and not discolored. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please give it a like. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I would like to see you next time. And until then, shine on.